Did you know that 70% of people struggle with setting boundaries in their relationships? Yes, you heard that right. 7 out of every 10 individuals find it challenging to establish and maintain limits with their partners. This staggering statistic shines a spotlight on a widespread issue that often goes unnoticed. The implications are profound. Without clear boundaries, relationships can become a breeding ground for resentment, misunderstanding, and even emotional manipulation. Boundaries are crucial for maintaining respect, individuality, and personal well-being within a relationship. They serve as an invisible line that delineates what is acceptable and what isn't, helping to prevent conflicts and misunderstandings. But why do so many people grapple with setting boundaries? The reasons are many and varied, from fear of conflict and rejection to a lack of self-awareness or understanding of one's own needs and feelings. So if you're part of that 70%, don't worry, you're not alone, and we're here to help. Now you might be wondering, why are boundaries so crucial? Well, let's dive into that. Picture your favorite painting. That masterpiece is framed, right? Boundaries are like that frame. They define and protect what's important. They give structure and shape to your relationships. Without them, your relationships can become as shapeless and messy as a painting without a frame. Experts in the field of relationship psychology agree that boundaries are a fundamental aspect of healthy relationships. They allow us to understand our own needs and to communicate those needs effectively to others. This, in turn, fosters mutual respect and understanding. Imagine a relationship without boundaries. It's like a house without walls, open to the elements with no privacy or security. Sounds chaotic, doesn't it? That's because boundaries are the walls of the relationship. They protect us, give us privacy, and allow us to feel safe and secure. Boundaries also allow us to maintain our individuality within a relationship. They prevent us from losing ourselves in the other person, reminding us that we are two separate individuals with our own needs, wants, and feelings. By establishing clear boundaries, we can ensure that our needs are met and that we can express our feelings without fear of judgment or criticism. Additionally, boundaries also help to prevent resentment and misunderstandings. When we communicate our boundaries clearly, we're essentially setting the rules of engagement. We're letting the other person know what is acceptable and what isn't. This not only prevents misunderstandings but also reduces the chances of resentment building up over time. But remember, boundaries are not about control. They are not about telling your partner what they can and cannot do. Rather, they're about expressing what you need in order to feel respected and secure in the relationship. And let's not forget, boundaries work both ways. Just as it's important for you to set your own boundaries, it's equally important to respect the boundaries of your partner. So as you can see, boundaries are not just about keeping people out, they're about creating a healthy balance in your relationship. Now that we know why boundaries are important, let's dive into what a boundary looks like. Boundaries in a relationship are the unsung heroes, often misunderstood yet pivotal for maintaining a healthy relationship. They are like invisible lines that define how we want and expect to be treated by others. But what does a boundary look like? Well, a boundary could be as simple as expressing your need for alone time. You know those days when you just want to curl up with a good book or binge watch your favorite show without interruptions? That's a boundary. It's you saying, I value my personal space and time to recharge. A boundary can also be about how you want to be spoken to. It may be you making it clear that you won't tolerate being yelled at or belittled no matter the circumstances. That's you asserting, I deserve respect and kindness in all interactions. Boundaries could also revolve around your physical space. For instance, you might not be comfortable with your partner going through your personal belongings or your phone. That's a boundary. It's you asserting, I value my privacy and I expect you to respect that. Healthy boundaries also extend to how much of yourself you're willing to give to others. It's okay to say no when you're feeling overwhelmed or overcommitted. That's a boundary. It's you saying, I can't be everything to everyone, and that's okay. Remember, these boundaries are not rigid rules set in stone. They can change and evolve as you grow and as your relationship develops. The key is to communicate these boundaries openly and honestly with your partner. Now, you might be wondering, won't setting boundaries push people away? But here's the thing, boundaries are not about pushing others away. They're about understanding your needs, valuing your self-worth, and ensuring your well-being. Boundaries are not walls. They're not about isolating yourself from others. Instead, they're about creating a safe space for yourself where your needs and feelings are respected. Remember, a boundary is not a wall. It's not about isolating yourself, but about protecting your well-being. Now, on to the million-dollar question, how do you set boundaries? First things first, it's crucial to understand that setting boundaries is a process, not a one-time event. It's like planting a tree. You don't just plant it and walk away, right? You water it, nurture it, and watch it grow. The same applies to boundaries. Let's dive into a step-by-step guide on how to do this. Step 1. Identify your boundaries. This is your personal space, your comfort zone. What makes you feel comfortable? What makes you feel uncomfortable? Start by figuring out these things. You may even want to jot them down in a journal. Step 2. Communicate your boundaries. Once you've identified your boundaries, it's time to articulate them. Remember, your partner is not a mind reader. They can't know your boundaries unless you tell them. Be clear and assertive. Don't beat around the bush. State your boundaries directly and respectfully. Step 3. Practice saying no. It's a small word, but it can be surprisingly hard to say. However, no is an essential tool in your boundary setting toolkit. It's okay to say no when something doesn't feel right. It's okay to say no without feeling guilty. Step 4. Be consistent. Consistency is key when it comes to setting boundaries. If you set a boundary, stick to it. Don't let it slide just because it's easier. Remember, the more consistent you are, the more seriously your boundaries will be taken. Step 5. Seek support. Setting boundaries can be tough, especially if you're not used to it. Don't hesitate to seek support from trusted friends, family, or even a professional counselor. They can provide you with guidance and encouragement. Now, let's sprinkle in some expert advice. Relationship expert Dr. John Gottman says that boundaries should be flexible. This doesn't mean that you should let your boundaries be violated, but rather that you should be open to discussing and adjusting them as your relationship evolves. Another expert, Dr. Brené Brown, emphasizes the importance of being compassionate when setting boundaries. She says, compassionate people ask for what they need. They say no to what's not okay, and they stay generous in their assumptions of others. Remember, setting boundaries is not about controlling your partner. It's about ensuring that your needs are met and that you're treated with respect. It's about creating a relationship where both partners feel safe and valued. So, there you have it, a simple guide on how to set boundaries. But remember, it's not just about setting them, it's also about maintaining them. But wait, before you go off setting your boundaries, let's talk about some common mistakes people make. First off, one of the most common blunders is not setting boundaries at all. Believe it or not, some people think that love means never having to say no. But let me set the record straight. It's not only okay to say no, it's necessary for your own mental and emotional well-being. So don't shy away from drawing that line in the sand. Another common mistake is setting boundaries, but then not enforcing them. It's like setting a speed limit but not having any traffic police around. The boundary loses its meaning and people will continue to cross it. So once you've set a boundary, stick to it. Be your own traffic police, if you will. Thirdly, avoid setting unrealistic boundaries. These are the kind of boundaries that are so strict or demanding that they set the other person up for failure. Remember, boundaries are not about control or punishment, but about respect and understanding. So make sure your boundaries are reasonable and achievable. Also, don't forget to communicate your boundaries clearly. A boundary that is not understood is as good as no boundary at all. It's not about dropping hints or beating around the bush. Be direct, be clear, be assertive. And remember, it's okay to repeat yourself if the other person didn't get it the first time. Lastly, remember that boundaries are not set in stone. They can and should change as you grow and as your relationship evolves. The mistake here is thinking that once a boundary is set, it can never be changed. But that's not how life works, is it? So, be flexible, be open to change, but also be firm when you need to be. By avoiding these common mistakes, you'll be well on your way to setting healthy boundaries. Now let's talk about the good stuff, the benefits of setting boundaries. Setting boundaries in relationships can often feel like a daunting task. You might worry about how your partner will react or fear the potential for conflict. But despite these initial fears and discomfort, the benefits of setting boundaries far outweigh the temporary discomfort. So what are these benefits? Well, let's dive in. Firstly, setting boundaries promotes mutual respect and understanding. When you communicate your needs and limits clearly, you're showing your partner what you value and what you won't tolerate. In return, this encourages your partner to do the same, fostering a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. Secondly, boundaries can actually help to strengthen your relationship. It may seem counterintuitive, but setting boundaries doesn't push you and your partner apart. On the contrary, it brings you closer together. By expressing your needs and hearing your partner's, you develop a deeper understanding of each other. This understanding can enhance your connection and intimacy. Thirdly, setting boundaries can help to prevent resentment. When we don't express our boundaries and allow others to overstep, we often end up feeling taken advantage of, which can lead to resentment. By setting clear boundaries, you're asserting your needs and preventing potential resentment from building up. Fourthly, boundaries provide a sense of security. Knowing where you stand in a relationship can provide a sense of safety and security. You know what's expected of you and what you can expect from your partner. This predictability can foster a sense of comfort and stability in your relationship. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, setting boundaries can lead to greater self-esteem and personal growth. By asserting your needs and standing up for what you believe in, you're affirming your self-worth. You're telling yourself and others that your feelings, needs, and rights matter. This can lead to greater self-confidence, self-respect, and personal growth. These benefits aren't just theoretical. They're backed by relationship experts and therapists who advocate for the importance of boundary setting in relationships. For instance, renowned psychologist Dr. Brené Brown says, "Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others." And relationship expert Dr. John Gottman emphasizes that setting boundaries is a way of caring for ourselves. It doesn't make us mean, selfish, or uncaring. It means we care about our own well-being. As you can see, setting boundaries in your relationship can have numerous benefits, so why not give it a try? Well, that's all we have for today. I hope you found this video helpful. In the past 15 minutes, we've embarked on a transformative journey, exploring the importance of setting boundaries in relationships. We've delved into the shocking statistics that underline the urgency of this issue. We've discussed why boundaries matter, what they look like, and how to set them. We've also highlighted some common mistakes to avoid when setting boundaries. To recap, boundaries are not walls, but guidelines. They're not about shutting people out, but about creating a healthy space for yourself. They're about expressing your needs and ensuring you're respected in your relationships. Remember, it's not selfish to set boundaries. It's essential for your well-being. We've also discussed what a boundary looks like. It's not a one-size-fits-all concept. It's unique to each person and relationship. It could be about time, personal space, emotional needs, and so much more. The key is to communicate your boundaries clearly and assertively. We've walked you through the process of setting boundaries. It involves understanding your limits, being assertive, and practicing self-care. Remember, it's okay to say no. It's okay to prioritize your needs. It's okay to take care of yourself. We've also pointed out some common mistakes to avoid. Don't be vague or apologetic about your boundaries. Don't let guilt or fear stop you from setting them. And most importantly, don't compromise your boundaries for the sake of pleasing others. Lastly, we've highlighted the benefits of setting boundaries. It enhances your self-esteem, fosters mutual respect, reduces stress, and improves your relationships. So, what are you waiting for? Start setting your boundaries today. Don't let the fear of being too much or difficult hold you back. You deserve respect. You deserve happiness. You deserve to take care of yourself. Remember, setting boundaries is not about pushing people away, it's about taking care of yourself. So start setting your boundaries today and see the difference it makes in your relationships.